What's good, YouTube land? Cliffjumper here. Let's take a quick dive back into the studio series with number 64. It's a shame he's not number 69, but from the Bumblebee movie, it's Cliffjumper! Or, like, it was Cliffjumper for, like, a couple minutes before he got killed, which seems to happen to Cliffjumper a lot. Bumblebee movie, Transformers Prime. Seems Hasbro loves to just axe off Cliffjumper whatever they can. But, yep, here's his box. There's a picture of him with his name. Transformers Generations. Takara Tomy from the Bumblebee movie. There's another picture of Cliffjumper right there. Looks like he has an Autobot insignia on his forehead. Yeah, it doesn't really... It kind of shows up on the toy. Shh! You're not supposed to see him yet. On the side... Oh. On the other side, I should say. That same picture... Or not the same picture. A slightly different picture. On the bottom. And on the back. So, take a look at the insert. It definitely looks like the small amount of Cybertron we got to see in the movie. It definitely looks like it's a city. There's a bridge. There's buildings that don't look like Earth buildings. It kind of looks like a pier or something. Maybe it's just a stretch of road with some stuff on it. But oh, and in case you forgot, it's from the Bumblebee movie, the best of the Transformers live-action movies, just by arguably not being complete crap. And you can extend it. I don't know what I'm doing. So here's Cliffjumper. This is definitely the only guy, well, the only guy I've wanted to check out from the recent studio series. I've thought about getting that Leader Shockwave, because I never actually properly reviewed the Dark of the Moon Voyager Shockwave I have. I kind of did that slideshow thing because I was really amused by that for some reason. But I like this guy. He does a couple of things that are being first and foremost, that backpack. It sticks out quite a bit from the back of the figure. And it is basically the entire top of his vehicle mode, because he is quite a bit of a cheat. This chest panel, his headlights are actually on the backs of his shins and on here, so that chest panel is a cheat, unfortunately. But it folds away enough to the point where you don't even notice it in the vehicle mode. And given the transformation, I can understand why they felt they needed to do that. Take off his weapon for a sec so you see him. But overall, I do like this robot mode. Here's a quick comparison to Earthrise, CJ. He's a bit taller, doesn't have as big a gun, still does the whole car. At least the car roof doesn't come off on this guy. Same price point, basically. Take a look at the face. Yeah, vaguely Cliffjumper-y. There's the molding of an Autobot symbol, sort of there. It's not. There's no real detail to it. But yeah, vaguely CJ enough. The angles are there. He does sort of have his horns, although they're not. They're these kind of fins. So that's good enough. Oh, the chest. You could say it's a bit small, but compared to everything else on him, actually looks pretty good. It comes off pretty well. Minor nitpicks in the robot mode. Obviously, the backpack is really just 2 joints away from being the entire top of his alt mode. It doesn't even really. It's supposed to tab in right there in that divot, but it just frictions and just hangs there. And these panels are really annoying. These are supposed to tab in to right there, but as you'll see throughout me holding it, I try. It goes and then it immediately pops out. Those are really the only nitpicks I have with this mode. Articulation wise, the neck is on a ball joint and a hinge, so it can go all the way up and expose the inside of his head is empty. But you got ball joint at the base of the neck, which allows for some very nice side to side, along with a decent amount of up and down, and a swivel. The hinge is much more for transformation than anything, but still good neck joint. Shoulders are on a ball joint. They go all the way out, all the way around until they bump into his tires, but they go around his tires. Hinge at the elbow, along with a bicep swivel. Nothing at the wrist, unfortunately. Surprisingly, given how sort of backpacky he is, if that's not really a word backpacky, but it's word now, he does have a waist joint. It is somewhat limited, being you only get that much range in each direction, but still, the fact that he has a waist joint is enough. And I'm not going to mention what that looks like. I'm just going to let you make your own derisively hilarious comment on it. Is this Cliffjumper really a guy? I wonder. Elsewhere, hips, full range. They unfortunately can't go back. You can they go back that far if you bend the knee, but unfortunately, due to the backpack, it does limit backwards articulation, backwards hip articulation. Outwards, though, you can go almost the full splits. You do get your thigh swivel, which is nice. Another thing, I wish this panel actually pegged in somewhere, because you can collapse it to look like that and be very streamlined, or you can kind of have it bulked out a bit, but that leaves the back of his shin kind of hollow. So I kind of like, ooh, I would like a peg so they could peg in back here and just be that much more secure. You do have a knee bend, but it's kind of limited by that panel. You have to get both side panels out of the way for him to go super tiger knee, but he can do it. That's very nicely out of that range. It's not even a joint for transformation. His legs don't move at all. So just didn't know that specifically for robot mode is very nice. His foot. His foot is on a ball joint, so you can get all kinds of range. And if you want, you can flip up that little panel that flips up for transformation as his hip pops off. But you can get a full swivel. It's also on a hinge. It's on a ball joint and a hinge, mostly for transformation, but you can go all kinds of rotation and hingery and thingamahoozits. I know words. So yeah, overall, this guy, pretty darn posable. He can, well, he's not super posable, and unfortunately there are limitations due to the backpack. I'd still say he's a decent enough action figure to just pose and have fun with. I didn't mention he has quite a bit of detail also on his crotch. But we do have to get to transformation. Yeah, the only things I wish were a wrist swivel, less impediment of the waist and the hips, and just these panels locking together. Really the only things I could think of. Oh, we also have to talk about his accessory, which is this hand covering sort of Gatling looking gun. It does a nice job of actually blending into the design of the arm, kind of actually looking like his hand transformed, because it's actually covering up the hand from more than one angle. Although you can kind of see it right there. You really only have to go under to see the hand, but it does a good job, in my opinion, being such a small gun with a tiny, not a tiny amount of silver, but the only other amount of silver on this entire robot mode. He's very much kind of deprived of color, being red and black with a tiny amount of silver, but that is Cliffjumper standard. And it's broken up enough that it's not like too annoying. And apparently you can kind of just wedge, I think, yeah, just kind of wedge it in his back as pseudo weapon storage, but it doesn't actually peg in. It pegs in the vehicle mode. Does not. I've yet to find an actual plug-in spot for it in robot mode. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Oh wait, I didn't even show. Where's his instructions? His instructions are right here. So let's go. Let's go to alt mode. So where are we starting? Well, we can unpeg the backpack and fold it out about that much. We'll keep folding it out later. You're gonna want to take. Well, we can take his chest plate, rotate that piece up, fold those pieces in, and then you're gonna want to take the shoulders after you actually unpeg the backpack and rotate them. You can also take this opportunity to rotate the arms so they're in this position. So basically that doesn't really tab in. It sort of tabs in the chest. Oh, I didn't even have his hold on. Let's do this properly. His head to go there, and then the chest panel sort of. It has little. What's the best way? Yeah, those little notches, which supposed to tab in right there, but they don't really friction in at all. And then the arms actually peg into his chest, kind of right there where the hinges are, kind of right in here. There's a little, yeah, you can see that slot right there to keep them there. And then you can take this panel and you can fold it all the way back. And I don't like the feeling of using that hinge, because this top panel all the way from here all the way down is translucent plastic, but essentially it's trying to, you can tap it in like that. I don't know why it doesn't want to go in on one side of mine, but let's come to the legs. Actually, let's get this. I'm gonna get it. I don't like that joint because it's, as I said, translucent plastic, and it's. Oh god, that does not feel. Given there's not much clearance here. Yeah, you kind of have to force it down like that just to. It worries me about the long-term survivability of this toy. So what we can do now is peg his arm back into place. Jesus. You can take these side panels, and they're on double hinged plastic, not well, translucent plastic armatures. But you can just bring them all the way up, and they peg into slots right here. Which gives me the question: why are they double hinged when this piece doesn't move at all? It just goes like so. You can see it can flip around for no obvious reason. It can go all the way around. I wish they'd taken that to maybe, I don't know, make sure they actually lock in the robot mode. Come on, where are you? There you are. You're so many things in the way. Okay. Those panels are in place. Fold these bits over so they tab in. Fold the foot up. It's going to peg in like that. Fold that back over. You can peg the other side in. And then peg the feet together. And you're basically just left with the backpack. So triple hinge it. Line it up. And it's just going to peg in at the front. It's going to peg in right in there. Peg in, peg in. Make sure everything's lined up and solid. Although my copy really doesn't like to stay very well. And there you have CJ in the Bumblebee movie in his alt mode. I do quite like this alt mode. It's kind of what sold me on Cliffjumper. Just the look of going from that robot mode to that vehicle mode kind of made me want to pick up this toy because I'm like, I want to know how it does that. And it does it in a relatively good manner, relatively smart. As a result, unfortunately, you still have most of a robot underneath the car. So it's very much unfortunately a shell former. Not really using much of the robot mode, but you can kind of see how the chest panel disappeared to make it look like that. I'm willing to give that credit. I'm willing to. I do wish the bits that are left over from robot mode did kind of integrate themselves more into the vehicle mode, but that's just the Bayformer for you. It's still the idea. Still, like, that's kind of the movie designs in a nutshell. Really, is not incorporating the robot into the vehicle mode enough, and just ending up having a robot wearing vehicle mode bits, which can work sometimes, given that. But there's got to be I don't know. I don't know. But I do like this mode. It reminds me a hell of a lot of a sleek down, much better version of this guy. War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, the video game Bumblebee. It's not as much as a humpback. It's much more a sleek bullet shape, but it does give me echoes, sort of this. Meaning, I don't know if I would have wanted this, like this toy back when this came out, because these plastics are infinitely better than this, and this is better held together. Like, look at, compare undersides. But I don't know. Oh, as a weapon storage, there's two sort of rectangles right there in the clear plastic that correspond that can fit those two silver tabs, and you can do it while you're transforming them, but it has a tendency, as I found, to just pop out when you try and lock things together, and like any momentum at all, any like, I don't know the best way to describe it. It's finicky, and it's really awkward to peg in this mode because you're trying to futz around for two small rectangle holes, but once you get it, you get a satisfying clunk. And yep, there you go. Weapon storage. It's kind of a shame it doesn't get to go anywhere on top of the vehicle mode. And I don't get what the point of this translucent stripe down the front is, other than just to break up the red, because this is quite a monotonous amount of red. It is all the black has gone underneath. The wheels. I think I was about to say the rolls wheel well, but the wheels roll well. I like the shape of the car mode. I like the design. Give it a shot of the rear there. I know they don't need a license plate up on Cybertron, but I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to look like. Maybe the back end of a car. I'm not. But you do have things that resemble thrusters, because that's a thing they do on Cybertron. Oh, and you also have that's right there. Well, I can't even get it. I can't even get it straight up. It's gone. Made in Vietnam. Okay, it's a copyright. The only way to see it, the right side up, is in there. If you could zoom in, actually. Yeah, but overall, I do like this toy. There are small nitpicks, even in vehicle mode, like these side panels. They kind of pop out of place a little easy because they don't really line up as well as I think they should. And see, any pressure, and the gun just immediately pops out. It's a nightmare to get back in. Here. I don't know. Do I recommend Cliffjumper? Kinda. It depends how willing you are to accept this kind of transformation, the predominantly backpack heavy kind of transformation. As a curiosity, I can't say I regret picking him up. There are things I wish were better, but it's still probably a fun toy to play with. So I'd say a solid 6.5. Burgeoning on I'd give him a solid 7. But, although I haven't seen very many around. I was lucky to. I remember seeing one in Toys R Us and then being like, I hope he's still there 2 days later when I have to go back. And then I went back and he wasn't there. But I found him at a different store. So, it's again, it's all up to you whether you like what the look of the toy and the way it transforms, whether you can handle that big a backpack. Overall, I like him. I'm happy I picked him up. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. This is definitely better. The best Cybertron Bumblebee / CJ is gonna look. I doubt we'll get this thing in this style, but I would have liked some pink, maybe, to tie back into the WFC, but I don't know. I've already said all my complaints. I'm trying to... Oh, well. Just wrap up. Thank you for watching. Blah, blah, blah. This is the best, as I said, the best Cybertron mode we're going to get for this character design. And so, oh, I didn't even mention, it kind of looks like he has a, I guess you could call that a gun, sort of in his front spoiler, or front face of the car, whatever you call it, in some gunmetal gray. But until next time, keep on trucking with big rigs. Even that reference really doesn't work, but whatever. Bye!